let's talk about Netflix for a little bit. They're opening this year's African-American Black Film Festival with Ben Crump's documentary. It's titled Civil. The film brings to light issues of social justice and equity in America. It gives viewers an inside look at Crump's mission to raise the value of Black life, and it showcases the families of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, the plight of Black farmers, as well as highlights the victims of banking while Black. Now, Crump says that he's honored to allow the world a firsthand account to witness the future of justice. This year's ABFF Festival is from June 15th through the 19th, and there will be a mixture of in-person as well as virtual programming. Civil, it will be released on Netflix on Juneteenth.
A brand new look is coming to the Texas African American Museum in Tyler. Funding has rolled in from $1 million campaign for phase 1 of the renovations. The building is undergoing a $40,000 makeover project. Leaders say they're working to make an old fire station look more like a museum. All the rooms will have specific meanings. For example, there will be a Genesis room from the first book in the Bible, a Jubilee room, and an empowerment room. For now, the museum is closed to the public, but it's expected to be ready for a soft opening in the next 4 to 6 weeks.
And Google is honoring the Black inventor who likely inspired the phrase, the real McCoy. Right now, if you head to Google, you'll see a doodle of a Black man next to a stack of patents grazing at an old-fashioned train. That's Elijah McCoy. He came up with the idea for the automatic lubricator that kept engines oiled while they ran. McCoy patented his invention in 1872 and continued to improve on the design. The innovation was a smash hit and found its way into locomotives, ships, and factory machines. According to the Hall of Fame, the automatic lubricator sparked knockoffs, which made customers who wanted to buy McCoy's invention ask for the real McCoy. It's a phrase still used today to describe something authentic.
And Louisiana has elected its first Black female sheriff. Susan Hudson was inaugurated as Orleans Parish Sheriff, making her the first city female sheriff in the city's history. Now, she is also the first Black woman sheriff elected in the state of Louisiana. Hudson is taking over one of the most troubled jails in America, and her campaign focused on criminal justice reform, which includes opposing the expansion of the jails, providing gender-conforming housing, and ending the contract with the jail's health care provider. Hudson officially takes office today.
Arizona Cardinals wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins will miss the first 6 games of the 2022 NFL regular season. That's because he violated the league's performance-enhancing drug policy. According to reports, Hopkins withdrew his appeal, making the ban official. The league's confirming Hopkins is suspended without pay for the first 6 games of this year's regular season, but eligible to participate in all preseason practices and games. The 3-time All-Pro and 5-time Pro Bowler was limited to 10 games last season due to injury. It was the first time in his 9-year career that he didn't appear in at least 15 games. There's been no official word or details on what specifically caused the suspension.
And researchers are returning to the Alabama coast to assess the sunken remains of the last slave ship to bring captive Africans to the United States more than 160 years ago. According to reports, the Catilia ship came from West Africa in 1860, even though the international slave trade was banned by Congress in 1808. Now, after the ship dropped off 110 captive Africans in Alabama, federal authorities reportedly burned the ship and set it adrift. The Catilia sank to the bottom of the Mobile River and was not found until 2019. Authorities say the majority of the ship is still intact at the bottom of the river. The 110 Africans, though, who survived the ride, they were part of a rare few who knew the direct route to their native land. They created their own community in Alabama known as Africatown. The Alabama Historical Commission has hired a salvage and service company for a 10-day evaluation of the ship's remains. You know, I really love this story. I'm a history buff, and I love this story, and I hope that there's like a Nat Geo camera following this around just so that we can see it. You know, can you imagine this happened over 100 years ago and it's largely intact?
Yeah.
To see what that would look like.
I just wonder what you know, like the story does say that it's intact, but I really just wonder over 100 of years there has to be some deterioration that has happened, and so I'm wondering how much we'll actually be able to let you know what was going on at that time. There's also discussion of some of the remains going into a museum, and so like you said, hopefully a movie or a documentary or something comes of this, because I think there's just so much to unpack with the story.
Man, it is a part of history that needs to be showed and told at the same time. And, you know, I would love to actually just touch that ship. We're talking ancestors. We're talking history. We're talking the beginning of us coming to this country. So that's just powerful within itself.
The history that children in classrooms, this is the positive history.
Now, if you want to bring a piece of this boat into the classroom, I'm all for that.
I'm all for that.
Just not cotton plants.
Got it. Okay.
But a piece of this boat, okay?
Okay. Listen, teachers who have ideas,
yes,
this is good stuff.
Yes.
All right, Milwaukee Fire Department veteran is poised to become the highest-ranking black female fire official in the city's history. Deputy Sheriff Sharon Purfoy Smotes has been nominated to the department's assistant chief. If approved, she will become the highest-ranking black female fire official in Milwaukee. She joined the department as a firefighter back in 2003, working her way up to battalion chief by 2019. Black women have not historically made up a large portion of firefighters in Wisconsin and nationally. Smots says that she's recognizing her responsibility to provide opportunities for others. According to the National Fire Protection Association, women only make up just about 4% of the roughly 358,000 career firefighters that are working today.
Attorneys for the NFL and lawyers for the 3 black coaches suing the league for racial discrimination are facing off in a federal courtroom. Both sides arguing over whether the suit should be heard in front of a judge or an arbitrator. The attorney for the 3 black coaches called the idea ridiculous and unconscionable. But Loretta Lynch, the attorney for the NFL, arguing that the employment agreements that the coaches signed require their case to be heard in arbitration. According to ESPN, it could be months before a decision is made.
And a group of Apple employees are accusing the big tech giant of being racist and not only benefiting its privileged staff with its return to pilot work program. Apple CEO Tim Cook says workers need to return to the office at least 3 days a week by mid-May. About 200 employees are petitioning for more flexibility. They say the shift back to in-person work will make the company younger, whiter, and more male-dominated. This is just the latest complaint of the worker discrimination at the company. The company also has pending complaints filed by 2 former employees who previously accused the company of racism and discrimination.
A century after his death, the first black person to be colonel in the U.S. Army has been promoted to a general. So the name of the gentleman, his name is Charles Young, and he was passed over for the promotion before his death back in 1922. Now, a black service member couldn't join the general officer's rank in the Army until 1940. Now, during his recent West Point ceremony, Young was praised as a model leader, and his leaders called his legacy inspiring. His family was presented with his honorary promotion order and certificate, a gold-plated leather belt, and a 1-star general officer flag.